I finally remembered what that was I wanted to say earlier, Anthony, on the call today, and I just didn't want to butt in at the time, because everyone else had, really well thought out views on the subject. During the discourse between Morgan and Eddie about psychosis and the use of pharmaceuticals and plant medicine. I worked in a mental asylum in a maximum security ward for a couple years, and a little over a decade and a half ago now. And I think that there's a time and a place for pharmaceuticals, and Morgan is right. There are much better ones, and the deal with everything in the world is that it's as toxic as we participate in and view it. So if we put a lot of money towards people who are practicing toxic business practices, then those things will flourish because we're watering those weeds. But at the same time, plant medicines work, and there are actual medicines within many of them that have legitimate chemical effects that are very powerful and healing. But the most fundamental thing about them, to me, is that entheogens facilitate altered states of consciousness. And the science of epigenetics tells us that our genetic expression, the expression of organic matter, is influenced, is switched on or off in every different facet by the way we conceive of it, what we're feeling, what we're encoding. And if you need evidence of that, it's a simple Google search for epigenetics, and there'll be plenty enough to keep you studying for at least the next year or two. And if you want to test it out for yourself, just try the coated water experiments from Dr. Emoto, and I think most of us know about that. So when you're in that altered state of consciousness, it's much easier to slip past that normal operating mode that most of us, are taught to slip into. That's filled with all these pre-programmed reactions to keywords or triggers. And so when you're slipped out of that mental space, it's much easier to choose new models to try on, and that can switch on different genetic expressions and facilitate radical and rapid healing of a variety of things. So I think that everyone had some really valid points, and I just really didn't want to butt in on them because I thought they really needed to get said. But there is a scientific basis for both of them being very useful, and there's a spiritual aspect to everything. So it's all in what we choose. I love you all. Happy New Moon.